Painting with Menoth John is presented in Super Legitivision. Super Legitivision, the future of podcasting. It's .com.
Hello, I'm
Menoth John.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
miniatures
and paint along with us each week. Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything. All you have to do.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, holy crap, it is a Sunday night, and we are back on the goddamn air. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Sunday Night Addiction. We are back. We are fresh from being at a con, which is not usually something that happens. Usually it's you spend the next 2 months trying to get all the bullshit out of your lungs and be able to breathe. I am Menoth John. This is the Painting with Menoth John show. You have turned to the correct settings on the Twitches, of course. We used the knobs, we've got the dials, we've got the tubes, all that kind of good stuff, and we are on the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, with me as usual is the co-host, the wind beneath my wings, the man that keeps this show moving in the right direction. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Spencer.
Hey, Brushheads.
It is fantastic to be talking to you again, John. I miss your face. We got to spend the whole weekend together in St. Louis, and it was a hell of a good time.
Yes, it was. It was a great time.
Yeah. We laughed, we cried, we kissed 4 days goodbye. It was a great time. A lot of us got a chance to see a whole lot of Brushheads while we were there and show them a terrible movie.
A horrible movie.
Yep.
One of the worst.
One of the worst, without question. What I love about the chat room here, John, is that people celebrate the fact that technologically it's not just a complete and utter disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. We're celebrating the little fixes that people have made.
Exactly. So, let's just get right to the old beverage update here. I'm going to have a shot of Kraken to start off with, and then I'm going to switch over to this lovely bottle of Dragon's Milk Bourbon Barrel Stout that Brushhead Extraordinaire Sassy Greyjoy gave me at War Machine Weekend. Very excited about it. It's 11% by volume. I remember how I said in the pre-ramble I wasn't going to get myself all screwed up. I'm going to have to be very careful with my Dragon's Milk.
Very careful.
Very careful. So, what do you have in this evening, my friend?
I've got a shot of Kraken and then a force blow, and I promise not to get as drunk as I was at the end of that live special.
Well, that's a very good thing, because otherwise we might have to call a paramedic here on the Sunday Night Extravaganza. We don't want any of that. So, on behalf of responsible drinking everywhere, hey, Ron. So we have a very exciting episode planned for everybody tonight. I was lucky enough to get my hands on a Glacier King via Danny Goodner, and it traded some board games I wasn't using anymore, and I have got a Glacier King that I'm going to be assembling tonight, and so rather than doing painting tonight, kind of the thing that we want to focus in on a little bit is some of the tools of the trade of cleaning up, especially a resin model, and then I'm going to do some assembly on it. It's a big model. It's a lot of pieces. I may or may not get all the way through it tonight, but we'll take the old college try, right, John?
Absolutely, sweet model from a sweet guy.
It is, and so before we get too far down the path here, we do want to take care of business, because this first 15 minutes, John, it is the business section of the Painting with Menoth John show.
It's 100% business.
It's all business, baby. This is not support. This is well, it's kind of support and business. So we have first off, we want to welcome back to the crony world Seth Watkins.
Yay!
Seth had some personal some personal things going on in his life and wasn't able to be a patron anymore. Super sweet and totally legit. We absolutely appreciate any level of support, and he's back. He had promised he was going to come back when things got a little bit more straightened out, and now he's back. And for those of you who don't know who Seth is, you may remember his really beautiful purple, sort of and faded into blue Moros. It is a absolutely beautiful, beautiful model, and he is a terrific fella. So welcome back to the cabinet of President for Life, Menoth John. Also, we have two other members, Jacob Steele and Chad Ashton, who joined the cabinet. I have not had a chance because of everything else going on in my life to reach out to them to solicit their cabinet position yet. But if you're hearing our voice, Jacob and Chad, please write to pwmenothjohn@gmail.com and make sure that you let us know what part of the cabinet you would like to run, and then some initial thoughts and actions. So that's the way we do it. For those of you who are not yet patrons, still available. You can become a patron down here at www.patreon.com/menothjohn. We like the kind that jingle. We prefer the kind that fold. And if it folds hard enough, you can get one of these. This is the Crony Inner Circle bottle opener. As seen, I can wear it. Actually, I can wear it as a bit of a mask. John, are you seeing this? Ooh, who is he? Where did Menoth John go? We don't know where he went. But look at that swank bottle opener on the screen.
I can't do that with mine. Mine's in a drawer, but I could do this.
How's that's great. So look at everybody. We don't know who's on the Painting with Menoth John show anymore because we have masks on. This is the charades part. So if you give it the $5 level, you can get a Crony Inner Circle mask / bottle opener. And I'm going to take that down so that none of you get worried that perhaps that some strangers have joined the Brushhead Nation.
Let's be honest, they don't get stranger than us.
No, and only have one left right now. This is not the one that's left. There's still one over there in the box. But I'll order more. Well, we can always order more. But if you would like to have that last one, the $5 level at patreon.com/menothjohn, it can be yours. So that's that piece. Then we have some really kind of neat announcements, John.
Yes.
So for those of you who have watched my Twitch stream in the past, I've had some less than fully spectacular results with War Machine Tactics. They've been so lackluster that the company has reached out to me and would like to live stream with me somehow.
Super legit.
Yeah. Well, Ross Thompson, who many of you may know from the, let's see here. So Ross Thompson, who many of you know from War Machine back all the way from the beginning. Ross is kind of a legend. He used to work for PP. He is now, he used to be with Cool Mini and Ninja Division, and now he's with White Moon Dreams. And he is in their marketing and electronic social media stuff. And he and I chatted a little bit at War Machine Weekend. So we are planning on having kind of a dual thing going on, where on a Friday night we're going to have Ross and I on the White Moon Dreams stream for Twitch, and then on a Sunday night during the normal time of the spectacular, we are going to do a live matchup. I will be playing Retribution for that. So because Sweet. hey Ron. Woohoo.
But death of the round ears.
Yeah, well, the cool thing about this, folks, is that we're actually going to be giving away some exclusive skins. These are skins that are not out in the wild quite yet. No, they're not going to be painting with Menoth John skins. As much as I would like that, I'd like all of your jacks could turn like gray with a goatee, and they could have a little ball of Kraken in one fist. That'd be fucking amazing.
Or Walker like Matlock, that would be legit. Oh my god.
I actually probably need to approach them about Matlock. But anyway, so it'd be so that's going to happen, and we're probably looking at sometime not too long, by early December. I would imagine that will be happening. And then also Robert Durevsky, who many of you know as Flight Medic in the chat room, has agreed to come onto the show. He is an amazing photographer, and he did all of the photography for the War Machine Weekend painting competitions, of which I got a silver medal.
Mm.
I say I got a silver medal, but let's be very honest about this. It was most certainly a huge joint effort, mostly with John Snodgrass, who did the fro and the brush for the whelp, and then my contribution was I painted the model and I made a little easel for it with a painting that I did, a 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch Bob Ross painting, and it turned out really cool.
Yeah.
And so that's coming up. We're going to get Robert on probably in mid-December, as it looks, and then that's kind of where we're at, and that's really all the major announcements, John.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, other than we got back from War Machine Weekend, that was major.
That was a major announcement. But before we go in and talk a lot about War Machine Weekend, because that is going to be one of our primary focuses while I am assembling the Glacier King, ladies and gentlemen, direct from the frozen north, we have with us a very special word from your sponsor, guest. We haven't had a guest on for this segment for a long time, John, and I feel like we've been holding the brush heads back, and we're not good like that.
Unless you showed up live, then there was a hell of a guest, and it was
Yep.
something else.
There you go. And but tonight we are going to have a very special guest, ladies and gentlemen, from the frozen north, the disembodied head of a Glacier King. Hey, I'm a disembodied head of a Glacier King, and I'll tell you what, I'm looking around and I see bits and pieces of me over here, over there, and most of these pieces could have come from Discount Games Incorporated, even though they didn't. But they could have. Or they could have come from your local game store, but they didn't either. But you should buy, if your local game store doesn't have disembodied heads of Mountain Kings or Glacier Kings or whatever the fuck I am, you should go to Discount Games Incorporated and buy some of this shit right over here. So, also, if you need terrain in metric sizes, let's say you need a linear obstacle that's 33 millimeters tall. I don't really know what a millimeter is because I'm American. But in Canada, they have that metric stuff. And if you want metric terrain from Greenleaf Terrain, Adam at greenleafterrain.com. He's the guy you got to hook up with. He's really good. He paints stuff for Gorilla Miniatures and Gaming with the Cooler, and he's super legit and totally sweet. Totally approved by my disembodied head. Now, Games and Gears, they're those guys with the towels and the brush stands. And hey, Menoff John, yeah, what do you need? Hey, get that file set. Okay, here. Hey, wait a second. Check this out. These are diamond files from Games and Gears. I have felt these literally over every inch of my body, and let me tell you. Anyway. So Games and Gears for them diamond files. Now, also, we won't want to forget KR Multicase. I, for one, as a disembodied head, am looking forward to feeling that sweet Butterfoam. I'm going to tell you what, nothing is going to be able to do me right like Butterfoam, because I'm going to be on a roll with Doomy 3. Ha! See what I did there? I'm like butter. I'm on a roll. Ha! These are the jokes. Anyway, so I'm a disembodied head of a Glacier King, and you should go visit our sponsors and tell them Menoff John sent you. But don't tell them about the advertisements. I'm pretty sure most of them don't watch. But KR Multicase, super sweet, totally legit. Games and Gears, oh, them files. Canadian Terrain from Greenleaf Terrain, and Discount Games Incorporated if your local game store sucks. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a disembodied head. Have a great rest of the show. So there you go, folks. Take it from a disembodied head of a Glacier King. Our sponsors are totally sweet and completely legit.
Yes, they are.
That's a pretty good one.
Yes, that was pretty good. I almost busted my gut.
All right, so I usually get you anytime I talk about metric terrain, so we love that. Now, we're at a very critical part of the show, John. I'm going to bring up the painting cam, and I'm going to pour this dragon's milk. And as you can see, this is not Miller Genuine Draft.
That's good.
This is strong medicine right here. This is dark, and it's, let's see, you got a lot, ooh, scary. Ooh, too scary. So there you go. That's a Second City TV reference for those of you who are old enough to remember that wonderful show. So I'm gonna start putting this stuff together, and I'm not really sure what order to put it in together, but we'll figure it out as we go along.
Oh, shit has a glaze.
All right, that's pretty good stuff. All right, so let's. I'm going to get some of these diamond files, and I'm going to. I got a little bit of cleanup yet to do on this model. But John, tell me about. We talked about how we want to talk about the whole War Machine weekend experience, and we thought, what we'll do is let's take it on a day-by-day basis, and each of us will give us our 2 cents worth on kind of how we felt things went for us that day.
Sure. So
Why don't you go first?
started Wednesday.
It
Yeah,
sure
that's right.
did.
Wednesday. I live far away. Not Brushhead Dave, who was my ride, because he hates planes. He decided we were going to drive, so hey, I was down with that. So we made plans. He could only get a half day, so I showed up at his place around 2:30, and we set off. Made it to about Columbus-ish. Bedded
Okay.
down for the night. And then to Thursday. It was a good day. Thursday, not quite as good for some people, better for others. We made it the rest of the way, no worries. Amazing,
Mhm.
a trip to a con with no worries, unlike John, who unfortunately had some worries.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So I make it there, we're communicating, we're like, hey, let's get lunch and all that. John's like, yeah, we'll get lunch, I'll show up around this time. We showed up a little earlier than we thought because we forgot about the time change. Had some sweet tacos at the taco place, whose name I totally forget. Fuzzy's? Was it Fuzzy's
Yeah,
Tacos?
Fuzzy's
Tacos.
Fuzzy's extremely long line. That's what I
Yes.
like to refer
Actually,
to it as.
got there for lunch. There was no line. We walked right up. Immediate
Wow.
service.
Man, that's awesome.
And Fuzzy's puts feta on their tacos. Little secret. I know it seems crazy. Feta cheese on tacos. Not too much, obviously. They went a little bit light. A little bit heavier than they went would be great, but had some great flavor to them.
Yeah, it gives a little bit of sourness to it that's really unique.
Yeah. And so I'm waiting for Mount John, and I don't know much anyone in this scene. I haven't gone to big tournaments, but I noticed Nate Hoffman because I've seen him on his stream, could see the Zappy Grumble shirt. He's got some board games out, so I know what's going to happen. So after talking to a couple brushheads, introduce themselves, recognize me. Thumbs up to you guys. I appreciate it. I went over, introduced myself.
Oh, you cut out, John. John, you cut out. We've lost your audio completely.
It just hit a hiccup. So I played a
Okay.
board game until you showed up.
Okay, cool. And got a beer.
I got a beer. It was pretty good. It was 2 women. It was good.
Nice. That shit's legit.
So I'll let you catch up and we can talk about the night together.
Sure. So I left on Wednesday morning about 9 o'clock in the morning, and got my kids off to school and all that kind of happy stuff, and gotten the ill-fated Volkswagen Golf, some of you may remember from the story of TempleCon, driving to TempleCon, which is literally something that just needs to never happen again. And I got to Chicago. And Chicago's roads, in spite of the fact that they charge you exorbitant amounts of money to use them, still have potholes in them. And I hit something. And I thought, well, let's see. But everything was cool. Kept on going down the road for about another 25, 30 miles. And then the dreaded tire pressure low light came on. My car yells at me when the tire pressure gets low. And so I went ahead and I pulled over and measured the pressure in my tires, and sure enough, all of them but one were up where it needed to be, and the other one was at 20 psi. So I forget what kind of a place I was, but John, does it seem like $1.25 is a good price for air?
I would say no, but honestly, that's about what they charge locally.
That
Maybe
is
a little bit less.
garbage. Okay, as my father owned a gas station, our air was free. Of course, that was 1,000 years ago. But
Yeah,
I mean,
back in the day when service was important.
yeah, $1.25 to run a compressor for 2 minutes? Are you freaking kidding me? Somehow we've turned the stuff we breathe into a profit center. Anyway,
Like water. Ah,
I don't know. It's like feel like Spaceballs. It's like like when they opening up a can of air into my tire.
they get a care of Perry Air. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I filled it up, and then I started the process of, okay, where am I going to actually get this tire fixed? And I went ahead and I said, well, the next decent sized town is going to be Normal, Illinois, which is Normal slash Bloomington. I only know of Normal because Normal has a there used to be a car manufacturer there. I believe it was the joint venture between Toyota and GM, because Toyota thought it would be a good idea to team up with those goofballs. And so I did some searching and discovered that there was a Discount Tire there. And so I had never been to a Discount Tire. And I said, well, Discount Tire, that sounds inexpensive. So I thought, well, I'll go in there and maybe it'll be, if I have to replace the tire, at least maybe it won't be too expensive. So I'm going to tell you right now here, brushheads, if you have the need for a tire or a tire repair, go to a Discount Tires. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I rolled in never having spent dime one in that place. I was treated absolutely fantastically. I was treated with great respect. Everyone was enthusiastic. And they charged me not a single penny to fix a tire that had eaten a screw somewhere on the road. So they put a patch and a plug in it and sent me down the highway happier than a clam. I was an hour late, but I eventually got there safe and sound. While this was nowhere near the saga that was the TempleCon trip. But, you know, it was a hiccup.
Yep.
But we made it through. And then I got to see John and all those kind of cool people, and want to bring us up to speed on what happened on Wednesday night.
Yeah, so or Friday, Thursday night.
Thursday night,
Yeah,
Thursday night.
you showed up right as I finished up my game of Dark Moon with Nate Hoffman and some random people. It was a good game. Look it up. It's kind of a trader mechanic game.
Yep.
We get together, find some people. We find Sassy Greyjoy, Not Brushhead Dave. Bowie showed up late. His flight had gotten canceled. Had to head down to like North Carolina or South Carolina and then over to St. Louis. We're on a new flight. Crazy.
Amazing.
And then you brought over
Jackie and
Jackie
Charles.
and Charles.
Yep.
And they drove us, which was easier than us taking multiple cars. We went to a Mongolian Grill, which is not
Hoo-Hot.
Brushhead Dave and mine. Yeah, Hoo-Hot. That's our sort of, that's what we do, because we don't have any Mongolian Grills local, really. So when we go to a new place, we look for one, because it's always a good time.
Yep.
And Hoo-Hot was no different. It was a great dinner.
Yeah, it really was. Got a chance, and they had a bar, which was super
Yep.
sweet and totally legit.
$2 rail drinks. It's the only time I paid for alcohol all weekend.
Wow, that's really a good accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's so many people just giving away beer and stuff at these cons.
Well, plus, honestly, after, spoiler alert, after Saturday, I decided it was a good idea not to drink just in case.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so we'll get to that bit of unfortunateness later on. But
Yeah.
that was our Thursday, and it was a really a wonderful evening. After we got back from the restaurant, a lot of us got together in one of the kind of, they're like conference rooms slash
Yeah.
side rooms, where we got to we played some board games together. We played a little bit of we played some
Exploding Kittens,
Exploding Kittens. We played some of the
Cosmic Encounter.
Yep, Cosmic Encounter. You tell the story. You're doing it better than I am, John.
Well, I remembered I was drinking less than you at that point. But Cosmic Encounter, of which I am the only person in the group who did not win a game, because you can have multiple people win at once. But I did win the first game of Exploding Kittens and the game of Dark Moon, so I don't feel bad for the day.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, Dark Moon's really fun. I've played that a couple times with Nate, and
Yeah,
It's-
that one's.
Yep.
It's my favorite trader mechanic game.
Yep.
That I've played, because it's you're doing stuff. It's cool.
yeah, I played a couple Trader Mechanic games over the course of the weekend. I played Avalon, and I
Yes.
played Dark
Yeah.
Moon, and I really
We'll get to
enjoyed
that one.
Avalon quite a lot too.
It was interesting, you bastard.
I played it again. Yeah. I played with you and with Josh Salter and with Jason Kotz, and then we had those two other folks that we didn't know quite as well, and they were really fun to play. That's the great thing about War Machine Weekend. A lot of times is that you're going to get the opportunity to get to meet new people.
Yeah, like I said, people just walked up. Said, I mean, like, come on, I whenever introduced myself to Nate, and he just handed me a beer and said, "You want to play a board game?" That was what I loved most. Is the people.
Yep. And I think that's most prevalent as far as the board gaming community that shows up too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is that the folks that are there to play board games, and I don't think Brian Geezy even brought any models, and
I don't know. Every time I saw him, he was playing a board game.
Yep. See, it really from his standpoint, he usually refers to it as board game weekend. So
It's a good time. We've got one locally that's board games only that I might try and make it to. See what I
Yep.
can do. But
cool.
so Friday.
So Friday, Friday was. Do you want to go me to go first? Or do you want to go first, John?
I woke up first. I'll go first.
Sounds good. Yes, you did.
So I sleep like crap at the hotels. It should be noted. And I get up fairly early for work, and I'm on East Coast time. So I was up and showered and out of my room by 5:35 in the morning.
That's crazy talk.
I wander around, message John like, "Hey, are you awake?" I'm just waiting for breakfast to start at 6 when I come to the line, and we all know what that line means. So I'm like, "It's a line. I don't need to go to the last chance qualifier. I'll jump in line." So I spent the first portion of Friday in line for the store.
Yep.
It was a good time, chatting with people in line. It was a fairly long line, but I probably made it to the privateer pest section at the end of the room as you go around by I don't know 9:15, 9:30 ish.
That's not so bad.
Maybe a little earlier. The store didn't even open till 8, so that wasn't too bad.
No.
I at least made it to a point where they still had everything left.
That's really impressive. So what did you get, buddy?
I got a Blightbringer for Volpe's Astro. Dave Fox. He wanted that. He asked me very, very nicely on the phone. He was in the last chance qualifier. I got the character circle unit, the Death Wolves.
The Death
I
Wolves?
also got the Night Witch, the new the solid for them.
Yep.
I got Hand of Judgment. Is that the new Jack?
Yes.
Got Hand of Judgment. I got the Immortal UA. And then I also got Hutchuck for myself. I mean, obviously the Death Wolves and Night Witch were technically for myself. I'm not overly attached to them, but I got Hutchuck for myself.
Hutchuck's amazing. And the Hand of Judgment is such a beautiful model. Holy cow, that was so worth waiting for.
Yeah, it's super cool. And I also got a set of 3 of the walls, the resin walls that Musa Mini sells.
Cool.
That are just terrain in general, and also the same size wall template if you were to make it.
Nice.
With a spell. So I picked up 3 of those while I was standing in front of them, chatted with John and them a little bit. I went back there later just, while we were doing open gaming Iron Arena and bought their zones.
Yeah.
And for $10 more, they were giving away flat terrain. And I'm like, sure. Good salesman. Good salesman there. I'll take that as well if you're going to offer it there, Nigel. I'll take it.
So they're giving away flat terrain?
Well, it was $10 more. So it's $40 for the set, and then $10 they throw in the flat terrain. I'm like, yeah, sure.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it was good. So yeah, I get through there. I deliver the mead to you during that, and
so good.
Get done, and I go to find you, and you're in the midst of your first game.
Yeah, I drifted on up to the up to what I thought was Iron Arena. It was an area that had been set up behind the bar area, which I was like, score Iron Arena. You're behind a bar. So I started playing against a newer player. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. I apologize. It's, you go to these things and, holy fuck budget, is this a gap? How the hell do you even fix this? Am I assembling this right? Green
stuff always works.
The disembodied head of a Glacier King is looking at me like, are you putting me on right? All right, hang on. So I guess it's got to be like that. Wow, maybe I can't. That can't. Yeah, it has to be. All right, so we're gonna put that on like that and hope. Then it's gonna be sculpting time, folks. So yes, I found he was a newer player.
Mm-hmm.
And I played against, that first game. It was the only game I won on all day Friday.
Spoilers.
And so I was playing Fire Mountain, and I don't remember all the details, but it worked out pretty well. I ended up winning the game, I believe, on scenario, which is kind of what Fire Mountain does. And
Yeah.
then we got kicked out of that room and had to relocate down
Yeah,
to
but
another room.
let's be honest. We got that taken care of pretty quickly. I just found Carl, and
Yep.
he's like, "Yeah, go down here and take those rows." I'm like, "Excellent, we'll do it."
Yeah, you absolutely took the ball and ran with on that one. Just like
That's
my
what I-
Green Bay Packers today against the Vikings.
Oh, good tie-in. I like that.
Like that?
Yeah.
It's fucking.
Yeah, well, that's what you do. I mean, it's what I do at my local store a lot. Just ask somebody, get it done. Ain't no
Yep.
thing.
And it really was very helpful because that got us pointed in the right direction so that I could get my shit kicked in for the rest of the day, starting with you.
Yes, we decided to play a game. He brought Fire Mountain, and I brought my Grail list. And now
Yeah,
he didn't realize how much respect I had for everything in his list because I keep a pretty straight face during a game. But I
yeah.
had lots of respect for his stuff, and he just moved his advanced elements up too quickly, so I
Yeah.
murdered the fuck out of them.
Yep, sure did.
This
It's
just in, Lord of the Feast with Storm Rager is a fucking thing.
yeah, it is. And I guess and frankly, I don't play very much these days, and I guess I didn't understand fully the scope of everything your stuff could do, and one thing led to another, and I was singing the blues quite hard early and often on that one. So
It's the only game, only Iron Arena game that I won by assassination.
there you go. And it was not, however, the only game in Iron Arena that I lost by assassination that day.
Right.
So yeah, it was a very difficult day. I played, other than our game, which was, everybody I played was fine. The fine gentleman that joined us on the mic for for Turkish Star Wars,
Brett, I think his name was,
Brett.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah.
He pounded the living daylights out of me with every new toy that Circle brought with him.
Yeah, you got
And-
him assembled pretty quick.
Yep. And he ended up just beating the living daylights out of me. Now, in a game I played against Clifton Klein, I tried. No, that was the next day. So never mind that. No, that was that day. I tried to play Thyron, and I tried to play 11 points up on it, illegally, and I still lost.
Oh,
Oh, man.
that's always the worst.
I didn't mean to do it, and I realized all of a sudden that I had an extra full unit of Sentinels and a UA in there that had no business. That list was so illegal on more different ways than you can shake a stick at, and he
Oh.
just violated me. It was just wrong.
Oof.
How the hell do you make a model that is this miscast? Jesus. All right.
Resin tends to bend a little bit when you're pulling out of the mode. So if they pulled it out before it was fully cool, which happens a lot with early models because they're trying to get them done, it'll change its shape a tiny bit. Hey, look, who used to work in the industry?
Yeah,
This
you.
guy.
They're right there. That's the kind of shit we bring to you here on the Famous Mouth John Show. We bring you the insider shit all the time. Right.
So next, I played a guy who, I don't remember his name either because I'm horrible, but he's a good guy. I chatted with him a couple times for the weekend. He was a local coming, and he brought Zal 1's theme list, and boy, that was a ton of dudes. I dropped Grail all day Saturday or Friday because I figured what the hell, and man, Lord of the Feast of Storm Rager jumped in and killed like 7 immortals at once. It was horrific, and I'm not gonna say he won the game for me, but holy crap, he made that from a close fight because he had a lot of dudes to a rout very quickly.
So basically, what you're this by the way, folks, for those of you playing along at home, I want to begin you to start noticing a theme. What you're going to start noticing is that Storm Rager might be the best spell in the entire fucking game.
I'm not sure it's the best spell, but there are models that with Storm Rager go from being really good to good lord, why the fuck is that allowed in the game?
Yeah, Mage Hunter Assassins. We're going to get to
yeah.
this later.
Oh, yeah, we'll
Mage
get
Hunter
that.
Assassins. Yeah,
I saw part of that.
yeah.
And then my third game, I'm not sure where you were at this point. I think you're out eating lunch or something.
Probably trying to put a
No, because
trying
Friday
to
we had
eat a
lunch
gun.
together with Danny Goodner and Sassy Greyjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny was nice enough to pay because he's a super sweet dude.
Yep. Oh yeah, I was with
More
you on that one.
tacos.
Yep, tacos.
We came back, played some more games. I finished out the day with a game against Orr, who's a Gator player with Maylock,
Mhm.
and we had just a grind fest. I mean, the last turn of the game, we'll say his last turn, pretty much his second last turn, he had 2 bull snappers, one of which was in horrible shape, the battle engine, a Wichita Croc, and Maylock himself, of which I had 2 wolves, the UA, as a matter of fact, the officer and the standard, Wolf Lord Morag on foot, like half the blood tracker unit, a tree, a wold weird, a single stone, and Grail. And I managed to just crush the heck out of both zones, go up to 4 points to go. You have to contest both zones to win, to not lose, and you can't contest both zones, which you have left, which is, at this point, Maylock and the battle engine. So, won that game there where he couldn't assassinate me. Little Woldweird was on fire, because he dropped Venoms on me trying to help kill Grail,
Yeah.
and every time he dropped a Venom, the Woldweird, with no boost, no upkeeps on Maylock for extra dice, like, I'll hit roll an 11, and that'll do roll 11 or 12 for damage. Did 9 damage to his ass in 2 spells. It was pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So did you finish out Friday with any other games?
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty down on the entire miniatures genre by the end of Friday, and I think Friday was, I didn't play any more games after that. I don't think. I think that after Terry beat the living snot out of me, I just kind of licked my wounds and kind of regrouped a little bit. Friday night, I don't know what I did.
Oh, you know what you did?
Yeah,
That
I
was
did
the
this
live
show. I did this show.
He did the live show, which you guys can listen to. We're not going to recap it all here.
Yep.
Alcohol was had. Friends were made.
Yep.
Good stuff happened. John left me in the middle to make me watch the rest of that goddamn movie by myself.
Yep. I want to give a shout out to Dallas Kemp, who is the studio painter for Privateer Press. Super amazing fella. When you take a look at some of the models that this guy's going to paint, he's very new to Privateer, and they've got another real all-star in the fold. So
yeah,
really an amazing guy with he's got a very dry sense of humor, and I really appreciate that.
If he comes up and says something and you're not sure, he's joking and he's being a good sport about it.
He is, and sometimes I'm not always attuned to that as well as I should be. But that's my problem, not his. And had a wonderful time chatting with him. And then
he was
I went
actually
and played.
runner-up for Sportsman of the Weekend too.
And as he should have been. He was.
Yeah. He's a good sport about it.
He is exactly what that company needs as far as having a positive face towards the customer. And he is a really a wonderful guy. And then I went and played. I got brought into a game of Dread, which is an RPG that I had never played before. It uses a Jenga tower to handle any of your conflict resolution stuff, and I had a ball with it. And it was way better than continuing to watch Turkish Star Wars. So that's what I did.
Continued to watch Turkish Star Wars, as was my duty. This is when the young man Brett, he handed the microphone to Brett, and Brett hung in there till the end like a champ with Sassy Greyjoy and Captain Aileron and a lot of other guys. It was great.
Yep, you guys did awesome. I'm glad I bailed, and I had a wonderful time. So
and I was so drunk at the end of that. Somehow, so Bowie messages me like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "I think I'm too drunk to make it back to my back to the room." So he's like, "Well, where are you so I can get you?" At that point, I'd wandered in to the room, talked to John, and I'm like, I think I can get one foot in front of my other. So I wander back to the room. Luckily, no stairs, no elevators, just straight lines. There you go.
Good for you. Proud of you.
Oh, I have never drinking that much alcohol in a day before. Like, seriously. In that short of a time. I did learn that there is scotch out there that I can drink and I can like.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. It was Lafro, I think is how you pronounce it. It was the best scotch I think I've ever had. It was really, really good.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good.
All right, I'm gonna put some of this other stuff on this model here.
So Saturday, let me start off Saturday. I'll get the bad out of the way so that you can follow up with the good.
Yep.
The only event I really wanted to go to was the Senior Pro Tour.
Aw.
I figured it's gonna be super fun and legit. And I woke up without a hangover. I'd apparently pawned that off to Dave Fox, who woke up with a hangover despite the fact he didn't drink. But it turns out I ended up with a stomach virus, and I threw up many, many times. And now you're thinking, too much alcohol. No, maybe it contributed, but it was legitimately a stomach virus because I woke up clear-headed, felt great, and then...
Then the world
Boom.
collapsed.
And my co-host advice of the podcast: if you're dry heaving, drink a bunch of water, because throwing up water is better than dry heaving.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have your pro tip from the co-host with the most. Dry heave water.
But yeah, I didn't miss it by that much. I was like 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours afterward started.
Yep.
So I wandered down about in time to watch John during one of his games. And take it away, John.
Yeah, so Saturday was really fun. I was, by the time Friday rolled around, I was like, I hate this game. I hate everything associated with this game. I hate thinking about this game. I was in pack it up mode. I was in a very similar place that I was when I was playing Retribution, like two War Machine weekends ago.
Mhm.
And but the Senior Pro Tour, it's gonna happen. I'm ostensibly its host, so I better get my ass over there and have a good time. And I had a beautiful time. The stars could not possibly have aligned better for me from the standpoint of who I got to play. The first round I got Chuck Sutherland, and Chuck Sutherland is an amazing guy. He and his wife Jackie are two of the truly great people of War Machine. They couldn't be nicer. They couldn't be more genetically engineered for each other. And they were the folks that we had gone out to Who Hot with on the previous night.
And they were definitely legit and fun to hang out with.
Yep, and I think I got this thing in backwards. Do I have it on backwards? Nope, and I just pulled it apart for no apparent reason. Yay me. Hopefully that won't fuck it up completely. When in doubt, add glue. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
So I got Charles in the first round. Charles is rocking a Helga list.
Mm-hmm.
And I had played maybe one game with Helga prior to War Machine Weekend, and got a chance to experience it from. And Charles is a pretty damn good, pretty nice player. He knows what he's doing with the Helgas. Jams all these pigs all up ins, and I'm playing. At this point, I've abandoned my trolls. That's how bad things were on Friday. I had given in on trolls. I said fuck trolls, and I said I'm gonna play my Thyron Long Dick style list, all the whole thing. I'm one listing the Senior Pro Tour, and he just pushed my shit in, just absolutely violated me. And then he said he was scared and all this kind of stuff. That's a bunch of malarkey. He's just a nice guy. He had the game in hand from moment one, and then he rolled 666 to end Thyron's game because that had to happen.
That'll do it.
So, at that moment, I was playing with the dice I usually play, which are a set of Kingdom Con dice that I'd gotten from Ross Thompson, and I looked at the dice that I'd gotten from Chili Winters earlier in the week, which
Maybe
are
a little jelly.
Yep, which were they're based on the Mad Max Fury Road icon. They're legit dice. I said, okay, guys. And I looked at him and I went, listen, it's you and me, guys. Chili's our #1 supporter of the show. They're at patreon.com/menoffjohn. He clicked that button. And now the dice said, we got this. I heard it right there in my mind. I said, we got this. And then I came up against Cliff Hughes. You know him as Tad Go. He's right there in the chat room. And I was thrilled to get Cliff because first off, I knew I was going to have a great game. I just wanted to have fun, and I just wanted to have a nice experience. And Cliff, he was playing Crix, and he was playing a Denny 2 list. And I was like, well, that's fine. I'll play Denny 2 and all, and whatnot. And the dice said, no, man, no, don't worry about it. We got this. And I proceeded to have a really good dice game. And everything cooperated. My my Prontoed Banshee worked really well. My the Sentinels were able to proc their vengeance effectively against some Bane thralls, and that worked out really really well. I had I feeded to basically remove a unit of Satixus. Everything was just everything was coming up Millhouse for Menoth John because it was time, and boy was Cliff a nice guy. I mean, it was not an easy game, I don't think, for him, but he was absolutely a 5-star gentleman, and just what you would expect from a brushhead. And we had a nice game and all that kind of stuff, and I won my first game since the first game of War Machine Weekend. I was like, well, that's cool, that's great. And then the next round happened against a gentleman I'm less familiar with, and he was playing a Veil 1 list, and I didn't know too much about Veil 1. Well, here's what I do know about Legion Beasts is that they don't have a lot of hitboxes and there's not a lot of high armor. And when Chili Dice wake up, Chili Dice wake the fuck up. And I finally played Long Dick style the way that it's supposed to be played. And I one-shot a Seraph and it wasn't even a Mage Hunter. It wasn't even a Storm Rager Mage Hunter assassin.
It was the regular one.
It was the regular version. And so after that, I was like, well, this is going pretty good. Then I prontoed the Banshee within melee distance of Veil 1. She hates that, by the way.
Yeah.
Just gonna put that out there. That's not a situation she wants to get in. By the way, here we have our current update on Glacier King. He's got the head of Glory on him, and that head needs a lot more green stuff, but we'll get to that eventually. Mm-hmm. And we're kind of piecing him together. Just got his lower jaw on. We're gonna set him back down here. So it was a kill box scenario, and I ended up getting my Banshee up next to his caster, and he said, well, I'm going to cast Tenacity, and I said, I'm sorry, you're not, because Banshees say no. And he ended up backing out of melee so that he could cast spells, and I took a free strike, and I put a bunch of damage on him, but I didn't get the crit like I wanted to because Grievous Wounds on a Banshee, yay. And then I fed him, essentially, my Banshee and Imperatus, just to kind of hold his beasts in check. And then I Storm Ragered another Mage Hunter Assassin. And then Typhon came off the table.
Yep.
And it's...
This just in. Excessive healing only works if you live.
Mm-hmm. Or if you can heal.
Yeah. Or if you can heal.
Because Grievous Runes. And so I Storm Ragered him, and I ended up winning that game on scenario. He put a Angelius and a Rake into contest the zone that I had some kind of solo over there. I had like a 1-point solo standing. Oh, I had an Arcanist standing on the flag to take it, and I said, well, it's time to take his Long Dick style, and I went ahead and Storm Ragered Thyron, and went ahead and cut the Angelius in two, and then proceeded to kill the Rake in 2 hits. It didn't.
That turn was amazing to behold because everyone like crushed something. He's like, I've got Silas charge this guy, and Silas killed somebody. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like I said, my opponent was a little sad that the dice had turned so hard in my favor.
Yeah,
but he wasn't there for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, I reassured him that based on the way John's dice rolled previously, he kind of deserved it. It's just unfortunate it happened to him.
Yeah, and we have gone so far as to criticize the behavior on this of what he displayed during this show, but in honesty, I don't blame him. And he didn't understand that this was tough. He got to experience all the dice normalization for an entire weekend in a single game.
Yeah.
And man, those dice just literally exploded. And I was very, very happy that they exploded because I needed it. Psychologically, I was in a bad spot at that point. And so that was my Saturday during the old man tournament. Did you have any highlights from outside the old man tournament there, John?
Uh, I got to play Wonky Kong.
He is an amazing dude to play. One of my
Yes,
favorites.
yes, he actually even brought Hand of Judgment and a Judicator with Efiora against my Kaya 2 list, and we had a good game. I kind of put him in a difficult position where he kind of had to go all in, and because I got scenario going quick.
Hmm. But you couldn't ask what happened.
All right, so it didn't work out for him. Unfortunately, he couldn't. He couldn't actually. He had to kill the Gnarlhorn that was in there full on Fury. So I got the Fury from him and took his assassination off the table. And at that point, every measurement sort of came up a little bit low for him.
Ah,
You know that he thinks he has a Fiora, but ends up being like less than a half inch out on even having a chance of assassination against Kaya. Which honestly, Kaya's defense like 18 when Laris is close enough, so it's not even like a good chance anyways.
yeah.
So I ended up winning that one on scenario. It was a good fun game. I realized I'm way too rusty with Kaya 2. I totally forgot to cast Forced Evolution on a beast on the first turn.
Whoa.
That would have been helpful. +2 strength and defense. Who needs that?
It's for pussies.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that and felt really silly because I did a number on his Judicator with Getorix, and a little bit of extra could have definitely taken it to the next level and maybe really crippled it. But it was, like you said, it was a good game. It was super fun to play. And then I sort of chilled and talked to people for the rest of the night. I don't really recall. I mean, I played some board games and such, but nothing major.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, the highlight other than the old man tournament was Saturday night. Saturday night for me, I mean, we've talked about it on the show before that
Mhm.
one of my podcasting heroes is Josh Salter, who is part of the Your Turn Next. It's not Your Turn. Your Turn Go. Your Turn Next is David Carls, who's another one of my heroes because he's just an amazing guy.
Mhm.
But Josh Salter, who was part of the Iron Arena, not Iron Agenda group, along with Tim Simpson and David Dankel, were some of the guys I really patterned what I think a podcast ought to be, and they really did do a great job. And Josh was there Saturday night with board games, and I ran
Mhm.
into him and Jason Kotz, who is Legal Gun on the forums, was there, and just a couple of guys I really enjoy being around. And we played some great board games. We played Sushi Go, which I've since purchased and played 2 or 3 times here at home. We played a game called Star Trek 5-Year Mission, which is it's a dice pool and dice rolling game to complete missions. If Have you ever played Elder Sign, John?
No.
Okay, Elder Sign is also a dice rolling game where you have to complete missions and eventually you are trying to get enough Elder Signs to keep an old
Mhm.
one from coming into the world.
We
In this
usually
game,
go for the much more longer and tedious Arkham Horror, but
Elder
still
Sign is
fun.
Elder Sign is really really fun, and this game is all I like this, but it's also themed with the Star Trek, and God, we had a good time. I played as Worf one time. I played as Captain Picard another time. This is another game I think we're gonna buy for my family for a group Christmas present. It's simple enough for a kid to play. It's completely cooperative, so it's really really good that way. So highly recommend 5-Year Mission. We played another one called Into the Dungeon or something like that. That was a very simple kind of you look at a card. You can either put it in the dungeon or you can keep it to yourself and take a piece of equipment, and then whoever passes last has to go in the dungeon and fight, and different cards are available for them to defeat to kind of protect themselves. Very simple game, very fast, but really, really fun. I never got to play any games with the Madison crew, which made me, reasonably sad, because I do gaming with Brian Gazy is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. I really, really enjoy because he plays some great games and he has a very dry sense of humor, and I just love that about him. So it's I didn't get a chance to play with them, but to sit down and play with Josh and Jason and you and these two other individuals that were from I think they were from Texas or Oklahoma, Kansas, somebody that
That's-
somebody that that some state down there.
I just remember that the guy was horrible at Avalon, and he made you think that he was the bad guy when he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And you played that game amazing.
I played that
saw
game
what you were
great.
doing. I couldn't say a damn thing about it without giving it away. I was like,
Yep.
I totally see what you're doing. It
I
was a tour de
played-
force.
I played Josh Salter for all he was worth. Oh my god.
Totally.
So so here we're playing for those who don't know what Avalon is. Avalon is a medieval fantasy themed, or actually a Mordor tour themed Resistance.
Mhm.
And so we Josh and I have been sitting there playing games all evening and developing a rapport, and I decided to turn that on him. And so we got into the game, and I got to be the bad guy. And the first turn, as is normal in a resistance style game like that, even if you're the bad guy, you are going to slough off and allow that first one to pass. Because if it fails, you're fucked. You might as well be dead. The rest of the game's
Yeah.
over with. So I went ahead
Unless you're
and
both bad guys, that could be interesting because then no
Right.
one knows.
Yep. Which that's actually a really good tactic. I got to remember that one. But
Yeah.
so we get in there, and I let it pass, and we come back around, and as we're explaining it, he's using me as an example of one of the good guys, and I couldn't be less of a good guy.
Nope.
And I know who this young lady who was at our table as well was also on my side, and I set her
but
up as the fall guy.
Yeah, because when you both were on the same mission, you did pass and she
Yep.
did fail, and I'm like, I know what they're doing. God
Yep.
damn it! I can't do anything about it.
She didn't know what I was doing. That was not playing. Obviously, she couldn't know I was going to do that. But at that point, I was like, okay, all I need is for her to be. I need to draw suspicion away from me so that I can
Mhm.
come in and ride in on the white horse. And sure as shit, here comes Josh. He's got the last one. He puts me on it, and boom! I have the opportunity to drop the fail into it. I voted for it to go forward, and it was just perfect. I have only
Yep.
one. I have one other gaming experience like that, and it was playing my first game of Werewolf, and it was another one where I was playing Cliff's game, which had the lovers in it,
Mhm.
and me and the other one, we were able to manipulate the rest of the room to keep off of us. It was amazing. So I didn't always used to be as honest as I am today. I'm a very honest individual, but I promise you, I still remember some of my less honest ways, and I will use them in a gaming setting.
Oh.
So that was
That was pretty
Saturday.
much all of Saturday. Yeah, I mean, I watched part of Prometheus half-heartedly. I don't really care. I don't want to see that whole movie.
Fuck that movie.
Yeah, didn't look great. Didn't look bad. I mean, it looked good production value, but didn't look good.
Fuck that movie.
So Sunday, you were getting ready to go.
Yeah, I got the fuck up on out of there. I basically wanted to. I had a nice time on Saturday. It was all good. I had plenty of stuff to do back at home. I had Belinda Librarian had done an amazing job taking care of my kids while I was out of town, allowing me this solo vacation, which now that I'm a full-time father is a gift of amazing proportions, and I wanted to get back on home. So
Yeah.
I said my goodbyes. I went to Starbucks, got my shit, and headed on out.
Well, Not Brushhead Dave told me that he wanted to leave, as soon as we were done with the spell draft tournament, or maybe earlier if we both had bad games, to get a head start on it. He didn't want to do all 14 hours in one day, so we go down. Spell draft had a couple hiccups. Apparently, someone forgot the spell draft card, so they were literally
Whoops.
cutting them up before the tournament. So it started a little bit later than we would have liked, but it was a good time. I ended up with I played Baldur 1 with 2 Wold Wardens, Megalith, and some Druids, basically.
Okay. Seems good.
Figuring I was going to channel spells, and my first opponent was a guy who goes by the name of Happy. He was playing Vlad 2, and we had a great game. It came down to the fact that my druids failed 2 command checks, and I couldn't quite kill enough people to prevent him from. Basically, he blocked me from scoring and scored himself, winning the game. If I'd been able to kill one more model, it would have been both of us go to 6 or 5, and then whoever can contest the zone next would win.
Yep.
But it was a good time. Highlight was Megalith using Geomancy to put Strength of Granite on himself, and then throwing an Iron Fang Pikeman into Reinhold, killing him.
Nice. I support anything like that.
All right, so there's my headphones being shitty again. All right, but yeah, so second game I played against a Convergence player who had no infantry, so I knew that Chain Lightning was going to be off the table because Chain Lightning's silly good when you can arc it 3 times basically. But Strength of Granite on anything makes it crazy good. I punch his I 2-punch Megalith 2-punches his battle engine to death. And then I kill the crap out of his Colossal, and then 1-shot Iron Mother.
Well, there you go. Shit.
I hear you roll 666 on your POW 20 or 19 Warjack or Warbeast. You kill a caster.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I wrecked him pretty horribly. Then played against a Crix guy who literally his whole tactic was Gorshade camps and runs after your caster.
Gorshade, which one?
Gorshade 3.
Wow.
And if I'd played a little better, I had a chance to kill him because honestly, Strength of Granite changes that math quite a bit. +4 strength is a thing. But it ended up that he just couldn't kill a shifting stone with a impact attack, so he couldn't make it to me, and I won on scenario. And then the last game we were trying, like the tournament director, we were all in loser bracket. Some of us lost a game. Told us try and make it quick because they really don't want to get kicked out of the room with games unfinished. So I played Brad, who's a New Jersey, so somewhat local guy, and he had the best spell list. Gorshade 1. He had Ghost Walk and freaking Battle Lust and
oh god, Battle Lusted
Clouds, and it was horrible. It was horrible. I made the best showing I could, but my army's can't take that.
No.
So he won. Our buddy Dave Fox ended up winning that tournament. Super fun. And then we watched, even though we could have gone and got a little head start, we watched the closing ceremonies and then got the heck out of there. Stopped a little bit past Indianapolis to get the time change out of the way. And then the next day headed home. Got home about 6 o'clock local time.
Yeah, I got back home, made really good time coming back because I didn't get a flat. And then it was just it was a nice evening home with my family, which is, I think, the best way to end your Sunday there if you're not watching the Painting with Mouth John show. So, yeah, it was all in all, I think I was a little saltier on the whole experience than I kind of am right now. And John, it was amazing seeing you again. We don't get the chance to see each other in real life so very frequently, but it was wonderful to see you this weekend. Hey, Ron. It was really good to see some. I mean, obviously getting to see Chili Winters in person again, getting to see Bryn Holstock again. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna rant here for a very short amount of time. I'm gonna put it up onto the face cam for this one. So there's a lot of talk about what's wrong with this game in the community and whatnot right now. And I will tell you right now that the problem with this game, at least from one man's perspective, this is editorial by Menoth John, is there is not a problem at the top end of this game, with maybe one exception. There's no problem at the top end of this game. Those guys are gentlemen. They play the game really, really well. They are very accepting and very wonderful people. In the new people section, the folks that are maybe new to the game, and don't, you know, and the folks that are like us, the hardcore casual. That's not where the problem sits. The problem sits in Iron Arena. Iron Arena tends to be, unfortunately, it has become. It used to be just casual, you know, f around, play create some fun lists, whatever. That's not what it's turned into. What it's turned into is where people who can't win at the higher levels go to grind points to get shit. And so what they do is they put together the most ridiculous, stupid list possible, just to F you, so that you can end the game as fast as possible, go get their points, and justify their existence. The problem is that those places have become toxic to having a good time, and that was, I think, and the people I played in Iron Arena were not like this, because the folks I played against in Iron Arena were genuinely good people, and in general were folks that were friends of the show, or folks that had seen the show and wanted to play against me, and God bless them. But as it became more and more evident, the problem was that it's that middle portion of the bell curve, and Iron Arena is unfairly picked upon as being the kind of the poster child for that. But you can see it in local tournaments. You can see it in the LCQ to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that I am going to take the, you know, oh, well, you didn't say that guy is in base to base, so therefore it's not. I promise you, Brian White has never said that to someone, at least within the last 4 years.
I can double promise that, because I've played the gentleman. He is super legit and awesome.
And so now Legionnaires is going, wow, that sucks, MJ. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that at Texas Games Con. You know, I can't speak for everybody. I'm just, this is a generalization. There may be Iron Arenas where it is absolutely super sweet and totally legit. I don't want to cast aspersions at the whole thing. What I am going to cast aspersions on are those people who are at that tipping point where they have to use that rules lawyering and that negative game experience to get the edge that they need to actually win the game, because winning the game is that important to them. And
it's not so much that they have to do that, it's that they don't communicate that before the game, because it's a social game.
Mhm.
If you go, I want to play, you know, I'm not in a tournament, I want to play a game against random people, I don't have time for a tournament, I want to play the tightest game we can. That sets your opponent's expectations. They know what they want. I know what you want. I can decide if I want that kind of game, and if I do play you, I know what to expect.
Yep. And I will tell you what's interesting is, the funny part is that as you look at the concept of playing a tight game as a pre-qualifier for I'm going to be playing in a tournament or a high-level tournament, what's interesting is that is a given. That is a social given at the high level of thing, to the point where they are willing to allow leniency because they don't want to win because of that reason. They want to win because their tactics were superior to their opponent. And
Not one game where my opponent has, you know, I said, do you not want to do that because that was silly, you didn't realize? He's like, no, I'm taking it, I did it, it's good. I've won games like that, and I feel okay about it, but I never, you know, set out to. And that's, I guess, sort of the difference.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's a word out to anybody who's listening to this show. You know, John, we've been downloaded over 100,000 times.
Over 100,000. That's a lot.
Over 100,000 times people have downloaded us. That's just the audio version of this show. And we were video before we were audio, because somehow that makes sense. Whatever. Just don't be that person.
Mhm.
Be Brian White. If at all possible, be Brian White. Man, that guy is the nicest, most unassuming gentleman of the game. You cannot. Oh man, be you know, Jason Flanzer, once upon a time in his War Machine career, got this thing called getting Flanzered. I will tell you that in the game that the one game that I've played with him, I found him to be a complete gentleman. I found him to be an absolutely wonderful fellow to play against. Keith Christensen, Will Pagani. I have Will on the show because he is a gentleman of the game, and that is the only reason I have him on the show. Be like them. If someone is, play a tight game. Play the game you want to play, but don't make it unpleasant for your opponent. It's not worth a win. It's toy soldiers, folks. It's more important to have a good time. So, when you go to Iron Arena, show your opponent a good time. If you have multiple lists in your bag, ask your opponent, I have this and I have this. Which would you like to play against? Let's have fun. And if he comes back with, well, I've got, and if it's a terrible matchup for you, the guy that has offered up your list, maybe so, well, that seems like a terrible matchup for me. What else do you have? Can we work together on this? And have that dialogue. Be mature people. And I know that's the kind of people we have listen to this show, John.
It's the social gaming contract. You both have to know. I mean, if he offers up a horrible matchup and you want to play it, do it. You can learn a lot from that. But
Sure can.
Remember that you've chosen this, so don't get too salty.
No, exactly. And dice happen. It's a dice game.
Yep.
But you don't have to point it out at the table.
Nope. In fact, just chuckle about it. I mean, sometimes you got to gauge your opponent, decide how much you need to say about your dice. Sometimes your dice are crazy good. Sometimes they're not.
Yep.
And always, I mean, this is hard. You always like to say, "Man, your dice were crazy good." Don't always just say that, because it sounds a little demeaning to some people. Like I told Orr, the guy who played his Gators, every time he hit one of my multi-win models, he took it out completely.
Yep.
So I'm like, man, your dice were good, and you took advantage of it well. You put it back on them, because they play well still.
Yeah, that was the only unfortunate part about that comment. Was it was like, yes, my dice were crazy awesome. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
My Chili Winters dice were absolutely amazing. But the fact of the matter is that putting a Banshee in your face and feeding you a full neck full of Imperatus it definitely affected his play style. And then the rest of my army showed up to play.
Yeah, you two-hit his rake, but what no one mentions is you put like 7 Sentinels into that rake. It was going to die.
Yep.
The fact that it died in 2 hits is not important at all.
Yeah. What I did is I put the right parts of my army in the right place to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And
then dice just make it look so much easier.
Yep. So, man, this Glacier King is a beefy bunch of resin. Let me tell you what. This thing weighs a fucking ton.
Oh.
I wonder if this thing's even flat. Yeah, it'll
So,
work.
War Machine was good. War Machine Weekend's good. I'm looking at going out next year. Not Brushhead Dave will not be coming with me, because he's actually going to go to the Open Masters at the WTC.
Shut
instead.
up! That's great. Good for him.
So that'll be cool for him. So I'm probably gonna have to fly out, which is weird because I've never flown to a tournament before.
So I have driven to my last con.
You're gonna fly out?
From now on, Mouth John flies. I travel enough for Starbucks that, by God, I can take her on the airplane. I am done with flat tires. I am done with actuators for my turbocharger going out. I am certainly done with replacing multiple tires after a trip. And oh, by the way, the stupid ass frickin' heat shield thing fell off my goddamn Volkswagen again this weekend. I'm underneath there with a saw doing surgery in 16-degree weather. Happy I was not.
That you need to look at perhaps taking that car, giving it a hug, tying it to a tree, and getting the shotgun.
It might be time to trade that son of a bitch in. As much as I love 45 mile per gallon, it may be time for something with ground clearance.
Yeah.
Just a thought. Ground clearance.
Wonky Kong's a good idea. Run a car, which I would do if there's multiple of us going. Like if we get 3 people, running a car, no longer a big deal. Just another tiny expense.
Yep.
Then again, 14-hour drive with time change on the way back is a bit much.
Yep. And you know what, Wonky Kong, as much as I drive, rent cars, guess how many dollars I could spend on that car? $0.
Yeah.
So,
but
all right.
We'll see. Planning for next year.
There we
But
go.
we'll have to see how it goes, what time it is. If it turns out that it happens during inventory, I can't take off for inventory at work. So
The other thing I've got going on for me right now is that this is exactly the last con I will go to solo. I had made a promise to myself at Kingdom Con that I wasn't going to share a room with anybody ever again, and that is a misguided, because as it turns out, being with others is part of what makes going to a con fun.
I was
And
going to ask you that just in case, maybe we can get the Pain with Matt John room because, I don't want to have 4 people in a room is doable, but I'm a slightly larger guy and having to sleep in a bed with another guy, it's not horrible, but
yeah, we can talk about it, John.
it's not comfortable, let's say.
We can talk about it. I think from the most part, though, I need to be very sensitive to
Oh, yeah.
What Belinda's doing for me, I should say, and she is being very, very kind, and
Yes.
I think that for right now, after I get done with Lock and Load, which I'm going to with the Beer Machine guys, there's a better than average chance that I might be done with cons for a while, unless I'm
Oh.
bringing the fam, and then then we'll see. But for just like, hey, I'm gonna go on a vacation, and here, by the way, take care of this 9-year-old and this 12-year-old. Probably not fair. So
Yeah.
we're gonna probably reevaluate that, and I thank Belinda for everything she does for me because she's an amazing woman, and the best thing that's ever happened to me. And but we're gonna be a little more sensitive to that next time. Anyhow, I think it's probably time for a quick flippity bloop. Are there any to talk about?
There's just pretty much just the one that you threw me as an email.
Yeah, let's do that one real quick, and then let's talk about our movies.
Yeah. Well, I have one more thing to talk about also after that, but.
Yeah.
All right. So, per Odin Hansen, who's from Norway,
Mm-hmm.
asks, he's got 2 little flippy bloops for us. He says, "What happened to episode 81?"
Okay, I can address that.
I don't
Episode
remember
80.
episode 81.
I do. I went back and actually figured this out, John. Episode 81 was the Bob Ross marathon.
Oh, there you go.
So
That makes sense.
So episode 81 still exists. It is all the recording is there. The reason we did not release it was because of copyright concerns. And at some point in time, I may consider chancing it. It was a little too close to the marathon that Twitch was doing, and I have the utmost respect for my spirit animal, Bob Ross, and his family, and everybody that gets money from the awesome that he is. So the reason we did not release 80, and it's not, we kept on numbering because I didn't think it was, that episode exists. It's just a matter of, are we going to do anything with it? So
Yeah.
For right now, it's going to sit in my folder, and I'll deal with it someday.
And then here's another one that I did a double take on and then remembered what he was talking about. He said, "What happened to the Princess of Mars, Chapter 2 and onwards?"
Yeah. So I experimented after Josh Salter did his voiceover of the Call of Cthulhu. I was going to read Princess of Mars all the way through, and it turns out that I am not as good at voiceover as Josh Salter is. That is a genuine talent. I'm just going to put that out there. And I have a problem when I read a book out loud that I will make a mistake and say the wrong word or whatever, because a lot of times when I'm reading, my mind is maybe a couple, 3, 4 words ahead of where my mouth is. That can be a problem in your real life, by the way. So I ended up kind of putting that off to the side and decided that while Princess of Mars is one of my all-time favorite books, I probably am not going to resurrect that series.
Fair enough. I'll tell the Brushheads what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to try out this whenever I get a new headset, or maybe with this headset, I'm going to try doing some Drunk Dojo solo for some things that maybe John doesn't need to be in on.
Sure.
Hardcore Merc stuff that maybe is not really his thing. Maybe
Yep.
some other factions that I have some experience with. Just to try and get some of that out for you guys. Some more. It will probably mostly be Patreon content because I feel like we need to do a little more of that. But look for that after the holidays. Need to get the holidays out of there. I might do one between now and then, just testing out to see how it sounds, to see if audio only is good enough, or if I need to do video of my lovely face.
Okay. Well, if you decide to, I mean, this is not something you would stream then, right, John?
Probably not, but I mean, I could.
Okay.
I mean, we might do that once in a while.
If we get
That's a good idea.
If we get to that point, I can get you a stream key, and I can help you figure that all out.
Absolutely.
It turns out XSplit costs $4 a month.
Oh, that's not bad.
We can kind of make that happen for you, John.
We could make that happen. Absolutely.
So, go ahead.
So that, and we're good. And I posted on the Facebook page that I'm switching back to Mercs. Circle was fun, but I don't really think I want to put the money into getting a lot of the pieces I have right now. I'm going to hit some Mercs until Helios comes out, and then I'm over to Rhett, and then we'll see from there.
Cool. Well, let's if that's all the flippity boops we've got, then we should probably talk a little. We've got two major media topics to talk about, John.
Oh, we do.
Before we get to the really super serious one, whatever that means, we should probably talk about the fact that I would like to nominate, John, a new definitive 5 Kraken viewing experience. So for a long time, this show has been predicated upon the fact that, first off, where's my green ball? I think I may have lost the green ball. The green stuff ball. Oh my God, where did it go? Anyway,
calm down. I'm sure it's there.
Oh my God. Anyway, so because I have a lot of leftover green stuff, but anyway, so this show has been predicated upon the fact that the definitive 5 shots of Kraken experience is Turkish Star Wars, and to that end, we went so far as to inflict that upon our listeners with the Painting with Menoth John live experience that we hosted at War Machine Weekend. So I would like to nominate to redefine that category as the Star Wars Holiday Special. Here's my justification for why this is a worse viewing experience than Turkish Star Wars. Okay, Turkish Star Wars is terrible. Turkish Star Wars is an absolute mess of a movie.
It should be shown to anyone who wants to make a film ever as to how not to make a film. That
is absolutely correct. Without question, you can say that it causes nausea in goats, and you would be absolutely correct. It is a mess of a movie. However, the Star Wars Holiday Special, I put it on immediately following Turkish Star Wars. I watched Turkish Star Wars with my youngest boy, Charles, and then immediately
child abuse, I think.
Which is our, Child Protective Services and all that kind of stuff. And then we immediately put on the Star Wars Christmas Holiday Special,
which isn't making it better, actually.
Which I thought was going to be a step in the right direction. And then Art Carney came on the screen.
Oh, Art Carney.
So, for those of you who don't know who the hell Art Carney is, Art Carney is Jackie Gleason's sidekick from The Honeymooners. He is a comedic actor who has been decomposing now for years. He's dead as a doornail. Been dead for a long time because the Star Wars special is old. But we got to a point. My child, Charles, enjoyed watching Turkish Star Wars because we made fun of it. We had a good time with it. Every time that during a fight sequence, if there was something major going on, it was Hadouken or Haikiba or kick this, and we had a great time with it. When Art Carney came on the screen, the room went silent, and it became one of the most uncomfortable scenes I can remember, where it became this guy is selling stuff to Wookiees and then complaining about how stupid the stuff is that he's selling to them in ostensibly the most interspecial, racist scenes I can remember in a long time. It was horrible. And the show starts out with a bunch of Wookiees growling at each other for a half an hour. John, it's unwatchable garbage. It is 5 shots of Kraken. Prove me wrong.
I can't. I would actually say maybe this is the moment we realized maybe George Lucas shouldn't be as much in charge of things as he may be.
Did George have a lot to do with that show?
I don't know. I imagine he had to have something. I mean, back then he had to. I mean, it was Star
Yeah.
Wars. That was his.
Yeah.
That was sort of his whole deal.
Yep.
But you know who knows?
Who knows?
The
IMDb's.
Googles knows.
Yep. IMDb's.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm not asking us to turn back the clock. I think that it's entirely possible that in this universe of ours, a universe that has spawned such things as Justin Bieber and the entire Kardashian family, that there could be 2 5s.
Oh, there's more than 2 5s. Jesus. There's plenty of 5s.
But this, I think that we have a strong possibility that this is, man. I will say this for Turkish Star Wars. Turkish Star Wars is at least redeemable on the level that it attempts to do what it can with $10.
It made the most out of its $10 that it could, but that most wasn't buying rights to all those songs it used.
No, not even close. Turkish Star Wars tries to benefit from the fact of, hey, we're in Turkey.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it was one thing when you had the Star Wars clips and the Star Wars music, and then they stole Flash Gordon music. I'm like, hey, wait a minute.
Did you
and
catch the Black
Oh.
Hole music?
Yeah, that's a big piece of my childhood that I love that they took, and I'm like, you motherfuckers, you can't have the black hole. Oh no.
You can't hold 10 Pokemon.
So the Star Wars Holiday Special, 5 shots of Kraken.
Oh
fair
my
enough.
God! 5 shots of Kraken.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm gonna avoid it. I choose life.
Dude, that was so bad.
Oh.
So anyway, so there you go. Now let's move on to something better.
Oh, I had crappy movie night with Not Brushhead Dave.
And
We watched Desperado, which is not a crappy movie, but
No.
he hadn't seen it, so we use that as a lot of. We watch a lot of stuff he hasn't seen there. He mentioned he hadn't seen it. Turns out we got there, we started watching, and he's remembering scenes as they happen, so he had seen it. He just didn't remember it.
okay,
Desperado is a good, fun movie. It moves quickly. The plot's light. There's lots of gunplay and blood and Salma Hayek.
oh, Salma Hayek.
Yes.
Oh.
Salma Hayek. It's just a good movie. It's pretty much put Antonio Banderas on the map, and you can see why watching it. He's got a good screen presence. He plays it well. It's just a good action movie to watch. Not Brushhead Dave said his rating on the Kraken scale was, that was actually okay. And I give it, now, a couple of years ago, I would have given that maybe 1 shot of Kraken, but being slightly more discerning about movies now, I'm going to give it a shot and a half. It is in the upper echelon of action movies, but parts of it don't hold up as well. Not with some of the stuff they're putting out nowadays.
There you go.
So, shot and a half. Watch
Shot
it.
and a half
It's
of
good. Salma Hayek. Mm.
Salma Hayek.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, on to the elephant in the room.
All right, so let's move on to the elephant in the room. Let's talk about, guys, we're on this countdown to
Force Awakens.
the Force Awakens. Yep, that movie there. Star Wars. So we're watching this in the Machete order. For those of you who are playing along at home, the Machete order is, of course, 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. And the reason you do that is because Jar Jar Binks and midichlorians and a bunch of other crap that we don't need to talk about. And so this movie happens. John, it's so hard.
I think the Phantom Menace might be better than this.
I honestly, I don't have. Having watched this movie today, I really don't have that big of a problem with the Phantom Menace. The romance and the building of the romance of this is so amazingly bad.
And the soul-crushing part of this is every time they're doing something, you can see the kernel of, you can see where your mind goes, I can see how this could become a great movie. And it didn't. Everything came up short. Every single thing. Every scene, I'm like, I love this scene. And you watch it, you're like, don't love this scene as much as I remember.
One thing, I was watching this movie going, this is the one of the prequels that I'm like, I like this movie. I can watch this movie. This is all right. I can do this.
Mm-mm.
No.
Nope.
And it's all about Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, and so the problem is now I feel like, from a perspective of making movies, this should have been the first movie with maybe cut some bullshit out and add the flashback prequel, how he and Obi-Wan met,
Yeah.
all that. Boom.
You
whatever.
could do some exposition and get it over it.
That way you don't have to build. They had to build everything so quickly in this movie that it didn't work well. And honestly, while I feel like the romance between them could have worked, I don't think they sold it at all.
Not at all. It was like
Not
a 12-year-old
once.
making a play on Selma Hayek.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, like,
God.
Natalie Portman's supposed to be a pretty good actress, and she usually is, but this
Mhm.
movie, her and Hayden Christensen have nothing. They have no
Oh.
chemistry.
I mean,
She sells it better than him in most cases,
because she's an actress.
and she's a fucking tease. That dress she wears at one point, but she doesn't.
Oh.
Like, come on. You can't wear that dress and not expect him to go all stalker eyes on you, because that's what he's got. Stalker eyes. It's creepy at points.
There's a couple points where it's just wrong. By the way, here is Glacier King, mostly assembled.
Sweet.
There you go.
Oh, that movie. Every time I'm like, I liked this scene, then I'm like, nope,
Nope.
didn't like it.
Nope.
The
Open
asteroid
up
scene
says
that you'd mentioned when we were talking about Empire Strikes Back. You know what it was missing?
Hmm.
There were
Nothing.
didn't feel like there were any stakes in it. There was no emotion to it. The Empire Strikes Back one, there was emotion to it. There was, the characters were scared and all. There was nothing to this. It was cool visuals. And let's say this about this movie. Get this out of the way. The visuals in this movie are stunning.
Yeah. The Camino, on Camino,
Yeah, absolutely.
the scenes on Camino, and we had a discussion of this while we were watching it, because my kids were like, that the Caminos were bad. No, the people in Camino were doing a job.
Yeah, they weren't
And
bad. They weren't any good. They were people.
and they were proud of their creations.
Yeah. And just, oh my God. And the other problem is that all of us growing up with Star Wars before the prequels came out had this thought of what the Clone Wars were.
Yep.
And it didn't hold up to what he made.
No.
And I feel like making the prequels may, in the end, have turned out to be a horrible, horrible idea.
I
Because
agree.
while, everyone's interested in what happened to Anakin, every time something happened, I feel like they could have been done better. So, what was your favorite scene? And don't say the end credits. I thought of that already.
No, I mean, I think some of my favorite scenes in this entire thing are when Obi-Wan goes to Camino and he's walking around with the Camino people, and they're walking around and they are so thrilled with their product, and you can tell they're absolutely delighted and they're impressed with what they have done, and that was played against Obi-Wan's sort of incredulous discovery of what he realized was
what the hell's
happening.
going on here?
Yeah, and he played it really cool, given the fact he was like,
I have no
"What
idea
the
what's
fuck is going on? There's an army being made here." And his conversation with, and I thought that Jango Fett did a nice job with his conversation.
It was slightly less than I wanted it to be, but it was decent. It was one of
Yeah.
the better scenes in the movie.
I think it's hard to pull off. Okay, here we are. We're looking at Boba Fett at a very young age, and trying to get a feel for, okay, he was a clone of Jango Fett, and trying to see. I loved how he used his native language to have him go close the closet.
Yeah, that was a good touch. Not everyone understands everyone. That was cool.
Yep. And so that was cool.
That was one of the good scenes. My favorite actually was the one where Anakin finds his mother. I feel like it was the one point where Hayden Christensen actually got some appropriate acting, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And then him just murdering all of them is, that's an important point of the story.
It is.
And I felt like it was done competently.
So one of my least favorite scenes, and one of the most George Lucas scenes in the whole movie is the scene in the diner
Yeah.
with Max. And they are trying to have a conversation about where did this dart come from? And this, it's so George Lucas to try to turn everything into a joke.
All the pieces are good there. Like all the pieces are there to make that good, but it didn't.
Mhm.
It didn't play out right.
Nope.
The
So,
droid was way too 50s.
want some Jawa juice?
Yeah. It's. So my thought I had, Obi-Wan never really seemed like a piloty type.
Mhm.
So having him his own fighter, I think, was a mistake.
Yeah.
I feel like the movie would have been better if they portrayed Jedi as sort of like Inquisitors in 40K, where they go out with a retinue and they have people like they have a support staff. These guys pilot the ship, they help him out. He shouldn't have that small of a ship. I felt like that was a missed opportunity. And
Yep.
I feel like the worst scene in that entire movie was the production plant fight bullshit thing.
Yeah.
That was no good.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a deeply flawed movie.
Yes.
I mean,
there's some great visuals. The Clone Army part's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I kind of, it's very George Lucasy again because they're not showing any sort of actual military tactics. It's just a bunch of people walking towards each other firing blasters, and accuracy is not a thing they have.
No.
Their accurate weapons in this are few and far between.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm gonna give it on a Kraken scale because we're getting close. We're at the end of the show here at this point.
yeah.
The fact that I could not sit through it with I sat through it as best I could with the kids, but I couldn't get all the way through. I'm gonna give it. Man, some of that romance scene is a full 4 shots of Kraken, but I think the whole movie itself is probably 3 shots of Kraken.
I was thinking 3 because the visuals take it up. There's at least a core there. I feel like a better director could have taken the basic ideas of it
Yeah.
and made a legitimately good movie out of it.
Yep. It's too bad that's not George Lucas.
And the dialogue is terrible.
Oh my god, the dialogue is just horrifying. Anyway, so
Except when Yoda's there with the younglings and he's making fun of Obi-Wan, that was actually witty. That's Star Wars humor. Just subtle, added in, works perfectly.
so
The rest of that stuff, Jesus.
the fact that our boy George is not a part of the episode
High
7,
fives.
yeah, that's
The fact that his favorite character is Jar Jar Binks, God, dying of fire, Lucas.
man, whatever.
I'm sorry.
So we're gonna power through the next episode, next episode.
I feel like it has to be better than this movie. I recall it being better.
I have to believe that it's better than this because, frankly, a saltwater enema is better than this movie. And
Yeah, we should have watched Showdown in Little Tokyo again.
yeah, for fuck's sakes, we could have watched Turkish Star Trek and been happier than this. Yes, that's
Possibly.
a thing. That's a thing. And you can all thank Sassy Greyjoy for bringing that to our attention. So-
Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to an end of another Painting with Menoth John experience. Here we are. We are not going to be back next week. It's Thanksgiving, and I'm going to be out of town, John. We didn't talk about this.
That's okay. That actually works perfectly with the fact that we had 1 week of leeway between our schedule and when Force Awakens comes out. So
Well, then we're going to
Boom.
eat that leeway right up. And so, yeah, I'm going to be taking my family to Minneapolis next week. I'm not going to hurry back on Sunday. And we are going to be back not next week, but a week from then to, bring all the brush heads together again. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Mr. John Spencer, I'm Menoth John. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and get this music going because that's what we love about this show is the music that I lift right off the internet. On behalf of all of us here, to all of you there, have a wonderful week. God bless you all. Stay good. Love you. Bye.